Hello, this is Kyou of Kyou System. There's something that I've kind of been thinking about a little bit over the past few weeks relating to content on YouTube and the like, especially. And it's, as you might gather from me venturing into direct YouTube content creation myself, has become a little more pertinent in my thoughts. And that is the subject of trends. Now, there was a conversation I was having with some online friends of mine, I guess this was a few weeks ago now, where we were talking about a few different things, but one of the subjects that came up was these videos that are, I don't know if they're purportedly meant to be targeted toward children or not, but the effective outcome is that most of the viewers are children nonetheless. And I'm not talking about the Elsa Gate stuff. That's a whole other can of worms. I'm more so thinking of the videos where usually it's like, I want to say Minecraft YouTubers, where they take all sorts of things that are basically these videos that are amalgamations of everything that has ever been popular ever since viral content and trend based content and all of that has been a thing, basically. And you may have seen these videos before, or if you haven't seen them, you at least are like familiar in passing with them, where it's like videos where it's like, it's like combining all the different sorts of like different popular superheroes with different popular characters from movies. Usually, like again, it's sort of related to the Elsa Gate stuff. Like Elsa from Frozen is another popular one. Usually combined with other things like that, but. I'm not trying to talk about those types of videos specifically. It's more so something, the original thing that got me thinking about it. And specifically, it's just thinking in terms of how if you want to be a content creator who actually has any realistic shot of being like really popular, like if you want to reach a point where you aren't just, because it's one thing to just anyone can just churn out basic content. I mean, all you really, as I've demonstrated here, all you really need is a computer, a microphone, and an internet connection, and that is really all you ultimately need. But if you want to be popular, if you want to get like really, really big, it seems like your only real chance of having a claim to fame is not just the volume of content you produce, but also the subjects that you choose to cover in the content that you make. And this isn't just true for YouTube. I've seen this in Twitter as well, where Twitter artists, you don't really get a lot of traction when you're just making original content. But when you start drawing fan art, then, particularly if you start drawing fan art of things that are currently popular, things that are trending, then you can really see some numbers start to climb. Especially if you have any level of technical skill. So this is definitely not just a YouTube thing. I mean, it is certainly very much present on YouTube, but it's even on Twitter or really any modern social media website, at least any of the really big walled garden types. And I have plenty that I want to say about those, but that is the subject for another video. But anyway, the thing about trending is that, I don't know, it's sort of, I feel like in a way, because once you start as one of these, once you become ensconced as one of these big popular creators, I cannot just, now obviously I'm not one myself, but just trying to imagine being in that scenario, it seems like after a while you would end up feeling very, almost entangled in it, or more like trapped, to where if you go against the trends, suddenly the numbers will start to drop, which, I mean, once you reach the point where you're getting on YouTube, if you're getting like millions of views or hundreds of thousands of views very consistently, or on Twitter where you're getting thousands of interactions on, most of what you post. It's difficult for me as a tiny content creator myself to be like, oh, come on. I'm happy, when I draw something or write something and I post it and I get like even just 4 or 5 interactions. I'm like, hey, someone actually liked this, this goes to show you where I'm at. But maybe it's difficult for me as this small little fish to understand the woes of it. But I feel like in a way it's very restricting to feel like, and I know a lot of these content creators are like, okay, well, if you're like a Let's Player, I mean, you probably have certain types of games that you prefer. I mean, everyone does, but at a certain point, if you have to ride the trends in order to not just to survive, but to have any chance of retaining your audience, and all you ever do is play nothing but these games that are trending, that are popular, and that's, I mean, considering the amount of money that these guys make, I guess, you can suck it up and deal with it if you're making 6 figures or however much just from playing video games all day. But in a way, it feels, I don't know, very stifling. Like you almost feel like you can't do anything but cover the trending stuff, because as soon as you venture outside of that, instantly your engagement just like plummets. And not just in terms of, because I mean, once you have that level of a fan base, I imagine a lot of them will be like, oh, hey, my favorite content creator made such and such. I want to check it out because I really like everything they make. I mean, there's that degree of it, but if the system itself is designed to be like, oh, this is like utterly irrelevant to what most of the activity is, kind of sweep this off to the side, right? Can't speak to YouTube. I can't really, by any stretch of the imagination, call myself a YouTuber. But I know this is certainly the case on Twitter, where if you post something and it's very easy, if your timing is off, or if you post something and it doesn't get much engagement very quickly, or if it's something that's kind of obscure, there's no one really looking for it, and it's very easy for it just get immediately buried, and you get no engagement whatsoever. And this is like a problem that a lot of like really, really small content creators, when you're just starting out, you end up in this sort of self-defeating kind of situation, or the self-perpetuating situation, where you try to post something, you're like, okay, you know what, I'm feeling good about this art piece that I drew. Let me post it up on Twitter and see if, any of my 30, 40 odd followers like it. And because you're so small, and because you posted it at the wrong time, or you just got unlucky, really. Enough crap was flowing through on your followers' pages that it got buried. Again, it could be any number of factors completely beyond your ability to control, and that are completely irrelevant to whether or not you're skilled as an artist. That you could just get no traction on your post whatsoever. And I know a lot of artists really struggle with tying their self-worth to how their content performs. So you end up with this sort of situation where even if the art is very good, very expressive, it has a lot of passion and soul to it, and even if it's really good at a technical level as well, if it doesn't hit, if the rubber doesn't meet the road, right, or if they just get really unlucky, their content can just get no traction at all. And when you are especially just starting out and you don't have a lot of experience with this, and it's very easy to get suckered into thinking like, oh, no one likes my art, right? You get this sort of feeling where it's not because the system is rigged against you, and that it's all about trending content, and if your content isn't trending, then you're basically shafted. It stops being about that, and it starts to get to you. It starts to eat at you at this level where it's almost like you yourself are just a bad artist. If the content you create is just boring or dull or something like that, and that's why no one wants to watch it. No, because no one likes it. They follow you, but it's because, it must have just been because this one time I retweeted something funny. That's why they, especially like if you post a few different things and none of them get any traction, it can really start to sink in. And hell, from time to time, even I still struggle with this. I'm even using Twitter for a few years. I guess strictly speaking, I've been using YouTube for a couple of years, but not actively like this. But like posting stuff on itch as well. It's like you get it can get to you. Like because I posted stuff on like an RPG Maker when I finished Remembrance. I posted it on RPG Maker, and like there was some attention at first, but then like it would get buried, right? Because there would be no activity on it, and then the only thing like because with the RPG Maker website search, it's like if you just use the default settings and you're like, oh, I want to play an RPG Maker horror game, and you search. The default sort is by like most recently quote updated unquote, and the way that the website defines an update is just someone, even could just be someone commenting on the page, and that is enough to push it all the way back up to the top of the listing. I may or may not have used a little bit of knowledge to my advantage, but that's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter remains is that you can post something, and then if it just doesn't get any attention for even just a few days, especially like if it's a few days where there's a lot of activity and a lot of other games get posted, and then it just gets buried, and you end up with a game that you could have poured your heart and soul into that is actually genuinely a good game, and it just doesn't get any attention because the timing was off, or it didn't happen to catch the attention of the right person who is talkative. Like all the people who played it were shy, and they didn't want to leave reviews or comments or anything like that. Or you didn't get someone who was well connected and was like, oh hey everyone, here's this cool game I just played, check it out. And you end up, because of the whole engagement metrics and trends and all the factors that are actually affecting what is causing your content that you worked so hard on to get pushed down into the void. It's very, very easy to lose sight of that because it's all invisible, especially to people who aren't like in the know, or people who are like really new to it and they haven't thought about it or read about it. And the result is that you get discouraged and you feel like you're a failure as a content creator. Again, it almost feels like a personal thing where it's like, oh, well, no, just I guess no one likes my stuff. Why should I even bother posting it? Which is a terrible shame, especially considering that a lot of these smaller creators are creating some of the best art I've ever seen, certainly. And it really is a shame. Trends are not everything, but then again, in a way, they are everything if you want to be popular, which it shouldn't have to be that way, but such is the modern internet, for better or worse. But in any case, I'm going to continue making these, certainly, regardless of whatever. Again, it's like I'm getting maybe 10 to 20 views on average on these, and that's more than enough for me, because I'm making these just as like a way to kind of just dump my thoughts about whatever. It never was intended to be this like, oh, I have millions of views and subscribers. Like, no, it was never intended to be about that in the first place. So even just you coming and watching and listening means more than enough to me to keep making these. And on that note, I do hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your evening. Good night.